Whether you realize it or not, we all play out different identities, and these identities change and shift throughout our lifetime. We gain identities through what we inherit from our caretakers, from our adults around us. We create identities based on our social, cultural, and political arenas and domains around us. We also create certain identities and character traits based on what we get or don't get in terms of love, safety, or belonging inside of our relationships with our caretakers, or again, with our social circles. Now, along the way and growing, we typically will assume these identities and quality traits without our conscious awareness. We learn that, the way to stay connected to our family of origin is to take on their belief systems. And if the belief system is like scarcity, an identity of failure or something of that nature, we'll inherit that. We'll take on those characteristic traits because we don't want to be, on a primal level, to be exiled out of the tribal community, because it's harder to fend for self if we're not taking on these identity and traits. For some, it's performance. It's like, or for some, it's like, I don't show my emotions, or we don't share ourselves vulnerably with the world. So there's associations that get wired into, and then we create these characters and kind of walk around. Then later in life, maybe in our teen years, certain characteristic traits that are not acceptable to our social peers will actually disown those parts of ourselves, and then we have to replace and fill that space with another false self. We disown another older part of us, and then we create another false identity to then best serve this new social arrangement and developmental phase. And then even again later in adulthood, we're desiring to be with a partner or desiring and exploring relationships, and even that part is not accepted. So we disown that part and replace it. The problem with that is that we have all these like lost and disowned parts of ourselves. And it actually takes a lot of psychic energy and a lot of psychic load to kind of push that down. So there's a stage of completion that's deeply rooted in Carl Jung's work and a lot of shadow work and somatic based work, where we actually have to allow these parts to be met again. And what that does is it relieves a lot of psychic load, a lot of energetic load. Like we can really physically brace inside of our body if we're trying to reject and ignore a part of who we are or who we had been. Then this perfectly shoehorns into this thing that we ultimately desire to be. So later in adult years, we're like, I really want to be this version of myself. I'm sick and tired of not having certain things. There's something in the way. We now want to take on a new identity of like, what kind of person, what kind of being would be able to have this and this and this, those types of things that we want to have, like financial literacy, a sense of deep-rooted connection and intimacy with self and partner, big O experiences, surrendered experiences, more freedom and time, more play, more spiritual connection to self and other, these type, like what kind of person would that be? That being has certain personality traits, characteristic traits of like belief systems, body postures, beliefs around nutrition, beliefs around compassion and inclusivity. And, there's a whole like architecture of that being. But when we try to be that being that's sitting on top of a whole bunch of other stuff that we've disowned about ourselves, for lack of a better term, it's not a clean, like, experience of this new identity. It's like sitting on top of a lot of unintegrated stuff. So for an example, let's say someone that's been like learned that the way that they're going to get love, safety, and belonging is being a high performer, high achiever in a corporate culture. They're going to go and drive and do. Then they burn out because they're in a faux window of tolerance. A lot of people in corporate spaces, they're in a faux window of tolerance, and it gets rewarded. In order to be able to be that level of success, this particular type of success that I'm talking about, you actually have to not feel your body in order to be able to push and push and push. Our body and our catecholamine crashes that we have from our adrenals will only take so much. So then we end up going into a complete collapse. And when people come to me with that level of burnout, it's like, I want to be something else. It's like, okay, but we actually have to learn how to feel our humanity, because feeling the humanity, we've actually been avoiding it all of this time. And this identity of the performer that has served to a point now needs to be transformed into what it is that you actually want to be. And there's a process in that. There's a process of grieving, letting go, and also having to learn to tolerate the sensations of this new identity. So if this identity version of you that knows how to get what you want is a centered, rooted, grounded, aligned being, that it actually resonates a sense of truth and peace from self, that it has this vulnerable, open heart. If you've been living decades of not having that, you have to learn to tolerate the capacity of feeling that, because that's not comfortable. In fact, it feels weird at first. It feels suspicious, because everything that you've designed inside of your neural circuit is telling you that that is not going to get you the things that you have been getting, which is actually not true, but you have to feel it in your body. It can't be from like this mind place. And in order to be able to feel that level of raw vulnerability, openness, rooted in your center, being able to look in the face of chaos and find your rootedness, your sense of truth, what that gets you in life, how that impacts who you are, your workplace, your finances, your sexual nervous system, the kind of partnerships you attract, all of the things. You can't bypass feeling your humanity. So if you have been spending time in a faux window of tolerance, not wanting to feel anger, sadness, grief, loss, all of these things, you're not going to feel comfortable either feeling a sense of peace, a sense of truth, a sense of awe, a sense of wonder. Like all of that coexists in the same. You can't not choose. You can't just choose one or the other. It's like you choose to feel your humanity and build that capacity to do so. So circling back, because I know I tend to be long-winded, but science is so like incredibly interesting to me, and I love trying to explain this so people get it, and that they can like take the shortcut and get the things that they want in life. When we're on the verge of wanting to make this identity shift, and a lot of people don't even understand that it actually is an identity shift. You're actually choosing to not be the characteristic traits of something else, and you're desiring to be something else, which is really normal. We go through a lot of identity shifts. In fact, actually, they researched this where they studied teenagers from a young age and then followed them all the way up until they were in their 80s and 90s. And the characteristic traits and what the things that they like to do and all the different things were different. We develop different tastes, interests, hobbies, all of the things based on our identity, our value system, our belief system, how we feel inside of ourselves, the energy body, all of the things. So it's normal. And if you want to make a change towards what it is you want, you have to build the tolerance of what that would look like. It's not just something that you like muscle through and do. Like, okay, I'm doing the thing, you know, like it's like you actually have to learn how to feel and be with that inside of your body. So if any of this resonates with you and you're feeling a level of burnout, or you're feeling exhausted because you've been in therapy for like years, decades even, and you're not getting a result, reach out to me, book a call, and let's talk about it, because somatic experiencing coupled with the understanding of nervous system neurobiology is really key and important to be able to actually like jump the line into what it is you want to create and stop wasting time and money on this.